about. Thank you. Oh, we have a board member here, Tara Lennox. Nice to see you, Tara. Good morning.
Good morning.
Right. Okay, thank you, Naveen. All right, well, I think we'll get started. I'm so excited to host this town hall this morning with Chief Mehdizadeh, and I also want to welcome the chair. I hope he's in, and I apologize. Rob Van Spronsen. Sorry about that.
Yep.
I can't read my own writing. Oh, I see you there up in the corner. Yes, welcome everyone. Good morning. So thank you everyone for joining us this morning. I think this is an exciting opportunity to meet our chief. Unfortunately, I know we've met numerous times via Zoom, but we've never had the opportunity to meet in person yet with this pandemic. So it's soon we'll be able to do that in-person meeting again, and I look forward to those days. I'm going to quickly turn it over to Chief Mehdizadeh, and he's going to go over some of the action plan, and then please we'll let him do his presentation, and then of course we're going to open up an opportunity for please throw any questions you have in the chat line. I can read them, or if you would like, you can go to the participant pool and then raise your hand, because we'd love to hear from you as well. It's important to hear your voice if you are wanting to speak, or like I said, I can just read the questions out of the chat line. So I'm going to turn the time over to our chief. Welcome.
Thank you, Cindy, and good morning, everyone. Before I start, I think with Rob Van Spronsen, our chair of the commission, I would like to see if Rob has some comments to make before I get started in my presentation, if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you. You can hear us? Okay, perfect. So I'm Rob Van Spronsen, chair of the Lethbridge Police Commission, and we have also Donna Kozlovi as well here with us today. She's also a member of the Police Commission. So policing in Alberta is a community-based, and one of the partners in the system is municipal police commissions. The Lethbridge Police Commission is a statutory body created under the Police Act to oversee the Lethbridge Police Service. Our responsibilities include appointing a chief of police and evaluating their performance, establishing policies that provide for effective and efficient policing, issuing instructions as necessary to the chief regarding policy, ensuring a sufficient level of personnel to carry out the functions of the police service, and representing the interests and concerns of the public. Our mission is to ensure that the Lethbridge Police Service will respond to the needs of the citizens of the City of Lethbridge in the creation of a safe environment. And our vision is that we want to ensure that the Lethbridge Police Service will respond to the, my apologies. Our vision is that the citizens live in a safe community provided through community participation, partnerships, and excellence in police service delivery. And so we're delighted to be here in this town hall meeting alongside the police service. Community participation and partnership are critical components of our role, and your thoughts, suggestions, and questions are critical. So we just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
So I guess I get started now. Thank you very much, Rob, and Donna, welcome. I haven't seen you, but thanks for taking part in today. And also I want to certainly thank the Chamber for organizing this. Since I've come here, this is actually 9 months in the job right now. I've been really struggling with the fact that because of COVID, I couldn't really connect with different key stakeholders and the community. And So as the time goes on, I said I can't let that stop me. So as you know, we've got a community town hall that's coming up soon, and this is also in addition to that, which gets me actually in touch with some key stakeholders and people in the community. It's not the best way, but it's better than nothing at all. But at least technology allows us to do this. So hello, Oki, salam, namaste, whatever background you come from. Just want to thank again for this opportunity. As I mentioned, I've been on the job for 9 months now, completed. And in my previous life, I worked with the RCMP for almost 32 years. I've been very lucky guy to have experienced this country from coast to coast. I've worked in every province and territory. I've done some international work and have worked with many great people, many different police organizations, and now I'm very lucky to be have been provided this opportunity through the commission to be hired as a chief here, and I really want to thank the commission for giving me this opportunity and also for the support they've given me over the last 9 months in doing my job. So next slide, please. So just a quick overview of the presentation. We've gone through the greeting and fun stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit about challenges facing us today, our initiatives to reduce crime, some crime trends. I'll be sharing some of those with you. And just to make it clear, there's going to be more information. This is a very short version of the presentation I'll be giving the community later on this month, but which will have a lot more meat and substances on that for information. But this is just a high-level stuff I'm providing. And I wanted to get through these slides really quickly because I think more information is shared and we understand each other better through question and answers. And if I can provide some of the answers to your questions later. So our strategies moving forward, organization review that we are in the midst of doing right now, talking about working for a safer community, opportunity for community engagement. Next slide, please.
Sorry about that. I just have to reshare my screen here.
Oh, so these are the only 2 slides you have?
Oh, I got it now. Here we go. Do you see that now?
Okay, I see that now, yes.
Okay.
I'm just trying to follow my, okay. So basically, next slide, please. We get going on challenges that you're facing. So as the slide is being loaded on the presentation, obviously I put policing during a pandemic. That's a significant challenge. Policing is a business that can't stop based on events that are going on, good, bad, or ugly. Especially in a pandemic, there's certainly more need for the police to look at many different things. Pandemic poses an issue for everyone, every citizen, and our police officers are also citizens. So everything that a citizen is facing, from a risk to being subject to the virus, being getting sick, taking it home to the family, all that stuff is going on in our world too. But in our job, we can't just say, no, we can't do it. We just have to continue doing the work. And a lot of our officers who get sick, as they're given the time to quarantine, obviously we have to continue to provide a service, which has put a lot of pressure on everyone, civilians and police officers in this building. In addition to that, we're also dealing with social issues that come through a pandemic, economy, the issues with the economy, the issues with even people trying to present their ideologies against, pro, whatever the case may be, to manage those events with the scarce resources that we have, because in addition to dealing with crime and keeping our citizens safe, now we've also taken on many other tasks that we need to make sure we are engaged in to better serve this community. So opioid crisis, I'm sure everyone in Lethbridge can talk about it better than me. I've lived here 9 months, but I also know about the history. But this is not unique to this community. This is going on nationwide. But Lethbridge has had its share of these issues, and some of the things we are seeing in downtown with that is cause of some of these drug use and opioid crisis, especially when people are dying as a result. But it also feeds into the drug use and some of the issues that this city has faced on that front. That's really given a bad reputation to this city, which we are trying to move forward from and actually get the city to come take the city basically off the podium as far as being an unsafe city, which has been reported on. And I think we're on the right trends on that front. Budget reduction, I won't have too much about it. It's facing everyone, but in our world, budget reduction actually is significant because, as I mentioned, we have been challenged with many added pressures on the department. And in addition to that, we have to continue serving the community to make sure they feel safe, but doing that through a reduction in budget, which really, for now, we are managing it right, but eventually it may result in reduction in our police officers, which we are still planning on, but we are hoping we don't have to go there coming in the future by hopefully getting our budget back once things stabilize a little bit more. And also, another challenge is perception of safety in this community. The surveys have been done. A lot of people feel safe, but there's still a lot of people who feel they're not safe. And that depends on where they live in the community, the neighborhoods, etc. So we want to kind of have some discussions and at least assuring the community that we are on the right track and trending well to make this community safer. It's just a matter of public knowing what's going on in their community and also what we can do together collectively to make this community safer. One point I haven't put on there because I've just been so busy with many other things on my plate, but certainly a challenge for LPS is the negative publicity we've been facing in the media. And I'm sure there'll be questions on that. I'm willing to answer any questions as much as I can. But on that regards, when we have allegations of misconduct from police officers, certainly it's not good for any police department. And also making sure that our citizens still trust in us doing our job. A lot of these allegations come from many years ago, but as we will talk later on today, we have all the right processes in place to deal with them, because the only way to move forward is actually bring a closure to these acts of misconduct, alleged misconducts, and if there is a misconduct that's established, let's deal with it, and if not, at least we can provide that information to our public and move forward. That way we can continue to serve the community without this negative publicity and attacks on the organization. Next slide, please. So some of the initiatives that we've been implemented to reduce crime, obviously everybody was well aware of them. Just wanted to highlight some of them. Crime suppression team, priority crime unit. These are teams that are fully engaged. They're working every day and actually brought many amazing results as far as their enforcement action in this community. Again, holding those individuals accountable who are committing a lot of crime and basically making this community safer every day. Community peace officers is a new program that, and the watch also, and also the third piece, police and crisis team. These are the three programs that were approved very recently by the council for funding for them to continue working. They've been in existence for about 2 years now and already showing significant improvement in how different tiers and levels of providing public safety measures to the community is actually helping this community to be safer. So our community peace officers are actually taking a lot of those calls that otherwise, if they weren't present, our police officers were facing to take. And really, a lot of these calls that they're taking don't need a police officer, somebody with a gun on their hip. So in that regard, they've taken some of the load off the frontline officers so they can focus more on dealing with their core mandate of policing and reducing crime. But again, what the CPOs do in the community is certainly reducing crime from that perspective. The Watch is a program that we see these young people, volunteers, young, old, from all different lives of life, who come in, put their time in to serve the community. And it's wonderful. We're getting great comments about what they do and how they're serving the community, especially in downtown core, to make it a safer place. And also their engagement with our homeless, with our people who are suffering addiction and mental health is critical, because they're not just out there walking and making sure citizens see them and keeping them safe. They're actually connecting our folks who are dealing with addiction and mental health. They're actually connecting them with the right agencies to provide the support to them. That's the most critical piece of this group that I see. They have a big network that they've already established. And in doing so, they're serving the citizens of this community to get the help they need so they can get on the right path and get the right agencies dealing with them versus police. We are not experts in dealing with those issues. And obviously, the last piece has to do with our citizens who are suffering from mental health, which is the police and crisis team PACT. This team is one police officer and one Alberta Health Agency employee who partner together to deal with our client group who are suffering from mental health, and again, giving them the response and service they deserve, more than just a handcuff on their wrist and being taken away. So they're taking a proactive action and making a difference in people's lives to give them the treatment and the services they need versus a handcuff on the wrist. And it's a program that's been established in many other jurisdictions. And I'm really pleased to say that right now we have one team that's been supported, but since Alberta Health, they came up with another body to actually create 2 teams. We have just advertised, and within our existing resources, we are going to identify one more individuals to actually now have 2 teams working, which is going to extend their hours of operation into the evening hours and provide many, many more hours of service to our community and dealing with some of our mental health people who are suffering from mental health and give them the service they deserve. I'm really optimistic about this venture, and eventually the perfect model would be to have 4 teams going 24/7 with every patrol team that we have to make sure we have we can provide immediate service to those clients. But 2 is better than 1. We just have to keep taking baby steps to move forward on that front. But I'm very optimistic about this new team that even though the team is going to increase it's going to double in size, but I can guarantee the return on investment is going to be much more than double. So looking forward to that. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to, I have many slides to share, but we're not going to bore you with slides. Here's a key point I want to give the community or anyone. Crime trend in 2020 versus 2019, we're on a downward trend, which is great. But in 2021, we are seeing significant downward trend again, even so year to date on the crime in this city. This is as a result of a lot of good work that our employees are doing, public participation, our citizens' participation, and again, we are looking at things in a different way. I'll explain one of those initiatives with you soon, but it's all combination of a lot of the effort that our employees have bought into the new processes and initiatives we put into place to make sure we have a more realistic and productive way at looking at crime through intelligence-led policing, through analytical work, through gathering the information and see what we can do with it with the right approach. And all our units working on a common front to deal with the issues in this city. So again, gist of this slide is crime is on a downward trend, and hopefully if some of you sign on to our community town hall, I can actually show those stats and trends with you, which is significant. And I'm really happy that we are seeing that trend, and nothing makes me happy to share that with our community, because that has a certain impact on how safe people think they are in this community. A lot of times the media, the way this community is targeted from crime perspective, we are actually going to show that that's not the case. Having said that, even though crime is trending down overall in this city, I want to be very respectful to say that it's not trending down in every little block and every region. There are some places that crime is trending up. And when you look at our crime reduction methodology, it's exactly that, where the crime is actually trending up. So where we need to actually put our resources in to make sure those citizens also are enjoying a neighborhood where the crime is trending down and they feel safer. So I need to acknowledge that crime is going down, but in some areas, crime is going up. But overall, it's been on a downward trend. Next slide, please. So some of the strategies, again, that we've implemented, which is the crime reduction methodology, which is really intel-led policing, is the most critical piece. It's taken, since my arrival, several months to hard work by our IT staff, crime analysts, and leadership to put it together. And this model, I have put this model in place in many communities that's brought up really good results. And this is not unique. This was created in New York, but this really targets three different facets of dealing with crime in a community. Number one is a prolific offender management. It is a common knowledge that a very small minority of the criminals are committing most of the crime in any community. So by having our focus targeted at them, we are going to bring much better return on investment as to our resources and what we are doing. So by identifying these prolific offenders, we can better actually target who's committing a crime, and just as a result of doing that, we are going to drive crime down. This obviously takes significant partnership with the Crown Council and our court. So we just had a meeting with our Crown, and they are fully supportive of this and doing their part within the judicial process to make sure these individuals they're held accountable. Now, that accountability doesn't necessarily mean throwing them in jail and locking the door on them. These prolific offenders come in there are different issues that's feeding their life for crime. Number one is these are the people who actually belong in jail, just bad people. They just like to commit crime and victimize others. And certainly the only action against them is through proper police enforcement and making sure that we hold them accountable from that perspective. But there are two other components of criminals, which is people who are suffering mental health and addiction. So even though they are prolific offenders, we're still mindful that maybe throwing cuffs on them and throwing in jail is not the best option. So we try to work with different agencies to see if we can provide help to them and really partner with other agencies. Hopefully we can change some of these individuals, their path in life, to get out of committing crime and getting on becoming productive citizens. But again, we will provide every opportunity to them through our connections. If they choose to take that road, that's great. If not, we'll continue to our enforcement action and holding them accountable, because our citizens don't need to be victimized overly, regardless of what's causing or fueling that crime behavior. Number two component of crime reduction methodologies, knowing where hot stops are and what trends are happening within this community. So our analytical approach to this is where we see crime going on a negative trend, which is going up. We need to be mindful of that. We capture that data all the time. We have monthly meetings, which are called ComStat, to bring all the team leads into a room, giving them a true picture of what's happening in the city of Lethbridge from the crime and different trends. Who's out of jail? Who we believe is committing these crimes? That way, every team leader is fully engaged and fully knowledgeable on what's going on in this community. And from there, each team leader will is going to actually provide the group with what they're going to do about it. So here is a picture of what's going on in Lethbridge, and my expectation is the team leads are going to say they're going to make commitments as to what they're going to do. And this doesn't just include property crimes or anyone. This includes every team leader, from the watch to the PAC team to CPOs even, to drug unit, traffic unit. Everybody has to make commitment what they're going to do with that. So next month when we meet, we see what they've done. They've got to report on their commitments to the group, and we show them the picture of crime now, how their efforts have actually resulted in hopefully significant improvement in that neighborhood that we've targeted. And then from there, we look at the crime map again, see what trends are going on, and then new commitments are provided. Now, I often tell people, just because crime didn't go down based on all our efforts doesn't mean it's a failure. We can continue focusing on that same region again, and we'll keep doing that till we see positive trending in crime going down. So this has been really significant because obviously it's getting all our units to work more united toward the same goals and objectives, and also which also brings more unity in the building with our different teams interacting more and supporting each other. Because as you know, police work, every unit, they're extremely busy. They got files coming all the time. Every second we are sitting here, there's a 911 call coming into our department. So it's very easy for people to get lost in their vortex of busyness and life and just worry about their own kingdom and mandate. This ComStat is actually taking people to take some time off of that, come as a unit, as a team, to look at how collectively we can combat crime. And it's shown in the 3 months we've had the meetings. We're going to have our 4th meeting soon. We've showing significant improvement in those neighborhoods that we've flooding our resources and doing projects to bring crime down. And I'm very optimistic that this is going to be basically a way of doing business. The key word for our officers is everyone needs to be knowledgeable as to what they're doing and what's happening in the city. So when they come to an intersection, if there's a choice of going right or left, I want our officers to know maybe going right is a better option because you're going to get more return on your investment based on your activities than going left. So that's the kind of environment I want to bring in these departments for our officers to know what they're doing, where they should be, and in doing so, when the crime is driving down, it's actually going to really increase their pride in what they do because they're making a significant inroad in saving this community and providing a better life for their citizens, which is really, that's what we are all here to do. That's what we sign up to do. The third component, root cause of crime, that's something that the city, thanks, there's a lot of significant effort in the city from the community wellness and safety initiative that's going on. Police is a part of that, which is really looking at the root causes of crime and how different social programs can actually help that scene and hopefully get some of these individuals the help they need. One thing about crime is it will always be in the community. There will never ever be, there are no communities with zero crime. It will never happen. But how do we manage the crime that's happening and get ahead of that? I think that's a critical piece, and that's I think the realistic approach in dealing with crime. It's never been we're going to have a crime-free city. It's just a matter of how we can work collectively to reduce it. Another initiative we've engaged that we're doing a pilot for a year is patrol deployment, which is our shifting strategy. We, with the support of the Lethbridge Police Association, we are actually deploying some shifts that increases the number of officers in certain time periods where we have more calls for service. This way is taking the officers don't need to be working so much harder. There's extra resources during those high volume calls so they can better serve the community, hopefully reducing the response time to some of the when they're responding to calls for service. And that already is paying dividends. Again, we are doing that for a year. After that, we are going to have review, basically consultation with the officers who've taken part in that, just to see if we want to make that into a permanent model. These are all the stuff that we are trying. There's no harm in trying things. If it's an absolute failure, we'll know, we'll learn from that. We'll just come up with another option. But for now, they're actually trending well and serving the community better. There's a youth engagement strategy that we're actually redefining our school resource officer program. These are individuals that are in schools, huge program that I'm a big supporter of this program. So are our school districts. And the only problem with this program, it's not just here, everywhere I've worked in has been, they work as school resource officers when the schools are in, and then when schools are out, they're back to spreading them wherever they have to work for the summer months, and then they go back when the school is out. So I don't believe we've given them a true identity as to the good work that they're doing, engaging with our youth and making a difference out there. So they spend a lot of time to reach to our at-risk youth during the school years, build relationships with them, and when summertime comes, they're totally hands off. So when the school goes back because there hasn't been any contact, then you have to start from square one. So we want to change their mandate to make sure they're actually school resource officers, but we want to change their name to youth engagement officers or whatever the name they come up with. We're putting them together in a room soon to come up with a new mandate, and I want them to be true experts in youth. So we have units like drug unit, homicide unit in this department. I want this unit to be one of those specialized units to serve the youth in the community, making sure anything youth related can go to them because they would have the connections, relationships with the youth, and expertise to deal with that. And I'm really looking forward to what we can come up with from their new mandate and give them the credit they deserve with their day-to-day work. I think this initiative is going to help the frontline patrol teams too, because then they have a dedicated unit that most things youth related can be deferred to this team so they can take the time to actually address the issues and really serve the youth in the community. A lot of times I've made it very clear to many of our partners and stakeholders about youth in this community that a lot of people are engaged in a lot of activities with youth, and sometimes people question, so what is all this stuff doing? How do you measure your activities? I said, well, we're not here to measure anything. We're just here if all these efforts change the life of one youth for the next 5 years, it's worthwhile. So to me, that's the approach that we are taking to serve the youth, and hopefully, even if you can change one life, is well received by the community. And I'm not going to talk too much more about community well-being and safety. I know you've had a big, long presentation on that, but the key message to that is we are part of that. We are going to be at the table to see what we can do from the policing environment and our what our role is within that strategy and committee, and make sure that we are contributing to their efforts and moving forward. Next slide, please. So organizational review. I'm just going to talk a little bit about these recent events and minister's call for action in relation to what we are doing with our department. Again, I have to be honest that like these efforts have been on the go since I got here. Do we have issues in this department? Yes, we do. There are no police departments or any organization, from my perspective, that doesn't have issues when you deal with people. We are dealing with human beings, with people. So have there been misconduct in the past? Absolutely. Will there be misconduct in the future? Yes, I can guarantee certain things. I don't guarantee a lot of things, but these are things I can guarantee. It's all about bringing an environment of accountability. But the accountability has to come, same as when we do it in a criminal perspective. How do we hold people accountable? We just don't go throw people in jail with no evidence, with no investigation, and expect that it's just going to go through. We need proper evidence, investigations into the matters, and more importantly, we need to make sure we hold individuals who have committed misconduct, provided they're established, provided there's an investigation and there's evidence behind the misconduct. We need to hold them accountable. But that accountability has to come through a proper legal, and I underline the word legal, big highlights, asterisks, whatever you want to do it, legal process, because everyone in this country has a right to a proper process that we need to, again, these are the freedoms we enjoy in this country. The worst criminals out there deserve that. So when we look at accountability, it comes from, first of all, establishing what went on, what the misconduct was, and have the right legal processes to deal with these individuals. This is not done out of impulse. This is not done out of perceptions or me having a bad day. And again, as a chief of police, I've shared this with public before. I have only certain powers to deal with misconduct. Certain things that are more serious in nature are taken out of my hand, and they go through a process which is same as a court process for anyone. People have the right to represent themselves. There is a presenting officer who's basically a judge. There's or presiding officer who's a judge. There's a presenting officer who's a crown. And then the people who've done the act of misconduct have the right to represent themselves by themselves or through legal help they may get. But again, it's all holding people accountable. My commitment has always been, will always be, when there's established acts of misconduct that are basically based on proper investigation and evidence in our hand, facts in our hand, I will hold people accountable, period. That accountability depends on what the misconduct is all about, the nature of it, and how we can move forward, again, through a balanced approach to show accountability, but also make sure that we are not just executing people just for no reason. So there's a balanced approach to that, and that's been my commitment from day one. So as a result of this, and some of ministers' concerns, which really mostly fueled on some alleged misuse of our databases, which is currently under investigation by ACER, and I'm looking forward to that investigation to see where we can go with it. But based on that, we've come up with certain pillars that I've shared this with the community before, but I just wanted to at least highlight that one of the pillars has to do with ethics and accountability, because really that's what we need to be. We need to be an accountable organization as a police department and make sure that there's public trust in us. So part of that pillar, some of the initiatives under that pillar are management of the previous conduct files. A lot of the conduct files where you read in the media, they're historic, but we still need to deal with them today. So we are well into that process. We got all the right investigations and processes when the investigations have been concluded in place to move forward with that. Now, nobody can change the pace of those processes. Again, these are legal processes that everybody has a right to. And what my commitment is, or what I'm saying is, we've already got the right things in motion based on what our role is, and now it's up to the process now to take its course and see where we can go with that. That's one thing I've mentioned before. I ask people to be patient on because at the end we need to be patient, let the process take their course like anything else, and we give respect to these legal processes that every citizen has a right to, and many people have fought very hard over the years to make sure we live in a country such as Canada. So the deliberate engagement and partnership with Police Association has been critical. Again, it's not news to anyone based on the, again, historic stuff that's gone on. There was a lot of distrust between the association executives that's resulted in dirty laundry going into the media, which is really not the right proper venue to deal with issues. So we've made significant strides, and thanks to the leadership of our association and the board members that we are actually moving forward with more of a united front to deal with some of these issues and actually do what we all need to do to serve this organization's interest so that the organization can serve the interests of the public. We are doing some reviews. We've already done that, our social media policy, because that's something that we need to have a control on. I certainly, again, social media is a way of life today, but that's not where some things should be discussed or brought up, because when there's only social media, there's just a lot of anger, perceptions, opinions, which are not really fact-based. We just need to be, from our organization perspective, we need to control that and be more professional when we are using that tool. And also there is a training that we've already started, which is ABLE training, that's active bystandership for law enforcement. And this is a training that every employee here, all the police officers by the end of 2021, and the whole department, which is our civilians, by the end of 2022, everyone is going to have it completed. This is going to be given to our new people that we are hiring. And the training really talks about how employees in this building can help each other when somebody sees somebody doing something that doesn't quite make sense, or it's just maybe off the rail a little bit, for them to be able to take leadership, tap the person on the shoulder saying that, hey, stop doing that. So this is what we are doing with our police officers. The executives took the first class because I wanted to make sure when we make something mandatory for everyone, the executives have to show leadership. So we've all taken the training, and we are aggressively looking at training all the police officers by the end of this year, and everybody by the end of next year, and all our civilians as well. So the next pillar I'm going to talk about is leadership development, which is really building the organization from recruitment to developing leaders in the future. So we have a very good recruitment policy already. This is in line with provincial standards that every police department needs to adhere to in this. So our policies on that are not different than Calgary or Edmonton. We all have to adhere to provincial standards. But also when we look at recruiting is the first piece. One thing I wanted to mention is credit to our new folks that we are hiring, because I know recruiting has been a target on Lethbridge Police as to maybe things are not being done right on the recruitment process. A lot of the acts of misconduct that's been committed has to do with people with 15 to 25-year service. So these folks were not hired yesterday or last year. So we're getting to the bottom of that. But certainly I want to at least give credit to our new officers that it's not that they've done anything wrong. We just at least we want to acknowledge that. But from the recruitment perspective, certainly that's the start of the people's career. Then we get into developing our field training officers, FTOs, who have a critical role as people finish their recruit training. They're partnered with a field training officer. Now, these field training officers are more seasoned officers who are actually looking after our recruits and getting them going on their path to become police officers. And who we select for these roles is critical, because we want to make sure we have engaged, positive people to promote these young folks coming into our organization, not people with bad behavior, period. So, and also next piece of that is a promotion process, which we need to make sure we promote leaders. We promote people who care, who want to be leaders, and who want to exhibit that in all different levels. Those are critical. But one common theme that I've asked for us, for our units to really consider when we look at these, from recruiting people to field training officers to developing leadership development and promotions, I want to make sure skills are factored in, but equally important, I want to make sure we factor in ethics and values and make sure those are parallel to what the organizations so we are hiring, we are actually and promoting the right people in the key roles. That's going to be setting success for the organization. One more piece on leadership development initiative is harassment training. I have mandated for every employee to be given harassment training. We have policies, we have great policies on that, but we are going to try to do some in-class, in-person training, which takes much better, to me, those are the discussions. It's easy to read something on the computer and sign off, say that I got it, but there's another thing to actually bring in those discussions to the group, to actually for people to understand what it does to an organization and how we can fight it. Again, we're going to have more leadership development for our leaders at different levels, which is critical, because if you're promoting people, we need to give them the tools to do their job, to lead. And so obviously they have to have leadership abilities, but we also want to make sure we increase that their performance through proper training and more training on that front. And CompStat, I've talked about that. That's the crime reduction strategy that we've implemented. But that itself is going to bring in leadership development, because when you look at the CompStat, it needs the team leaders to be united, to be communicating, to take the lead on certain aspect of the operation to deal with crime, and also other team leaders to support them, bringing accountability into the equation. Even though it's an operational matter, I truly believe it's actually going to develop leadership in people so they can lead projects and actually encourage people to sign on to those initiatives. Next pillar that we're working on is employee wellness and mental health education. So on that front, we deliver R2MR, which is really the working mind training to everyone, which is critical for people to understand about police work and mental health. And believe me, there is a lot of issues from that perspective. Our officers are under pressure every day, especially these days, and we need to make sure they're given the credit they deserve and the support they need to do their job. This is not an easy job. If it was easy, anyone can do it. It takes significant amount of pressure, not only for the officers, but their family members to keep doing this job. I have recently myself finished the brain story certification, And I've actually mandated for every police officer to have it completed by the end of this year. I truly believe that this certification is going to bring them really good knowledge and awareness on how brain is developed, how adverse childhood experiences have an impact on brain development, and why people act the way they do at times, especially our client group who are suffering from mental health, even addictions. I want our officers to have a more compassion when dealing with this client group. And this, I think this training certainly is going to give them the tools to be much better in serving these client group. But also, I think this is going to be critical in their own personal lives and even their family lives. So this is a thing I've taken a leap. Again, like anything else, I completed it myself because before I demanded it for everybody else. So we're moving forward. I'm looking forward to see how that does for our performance. We have Corico Wellness app on every phone that's been given to our police officer. This is an app that they can quickly go through to assess their own mental health. And if there is a need, they can reach the different support groups that we have, from psychologists or chaplain, to be able to manage their stress and hopefully get the help when they need it before it's too late. I've talked about chaplain support. We have a great chaplain, Aaron Moore, who is just a wonderful person, human being, and he does amazing work to engage with our officers at any time and give them that moral support they need, which is a critical piece of what we want to give. And then we also do a lot of critical incident stress management when our officers are subject to different situations. We want to make sure we get on top of that and give them the immediate support to address those. Next pillar, which is really the elephant in the room, had to do with database access. And that's what, in my opinion, that's where all these problems have started. There's some investigations on the go right now, but in relation to our niche, which is our local system for capturing data and information on when the calls come in, I have put certain measures in place. Our IT has led these initiatives. One is a lot of these allegations have come because when we identified maybe a red flag which is under investigation, it had to do with people not putting reason to search something. So that's become a mandatory field right now. So anyone getting on the systems has to put in a reason why they're on the system, which is going to help us when we do audits to better have those answers. And maybe not, maybe the red flags won't come out again, because as the investigation is going to reveal, there are some people who actually had legit reasons, but they just didn't put the reason for that. Doesn't mean they were doing anything bad. It's just a matter of we're just going to tightening that control on that, making sure people have a reason to search. Number two is warning statement every time they go on the system, just in case they forgot what the systems are designed to be used for. They're going to be reminded their use and proper use of the systems, and also increased review of the policies in relation to our IT and what we need. One thing I forgot on the ethics and accountability training has to do with our ethics training period. Employees have to do this training every 2 years. So we've increased the frequency of doing ethics training every year now, annually. And we've also added more information on that training that that addresses some of these issues that we're dealing with. And the last piece, again, we talked about increased review of policy, which is really has to do with that ethics policy that we have. People have to do that annually. And the last pillar that I just want to mention was our communication strategy. We are trying to develop much better short-term and long-term comm strategy to make sure we are more transparent and we are reaching our citizens better. And in doing so, we are showing more accountability on the organization's piece. The only caveat to that is, like I've been called by many media outlets because they get a leak somewhere, they get some information, they're calling us to comment on that. I just can't. It's not because I don't want to, it's because I can't, because that gets me in a lot of trouble based on a lot of different issues that can bring when we can't share information. I'm always willing to share any information, good, bad, or ugly, with anyone, but not at the cost of getting this department in trouble because it's not legal for me to do so. And we try to explain that, but at the same time, we'll see how these initiatives are going to work out. Next slide, please. So working together for a safer community, which is really part of our crime reduction strategy. And I'm hoping very soon, once COVID is done, to be able to do these personal face-to-face town hall meetings with our citizens, because it is time for us to meet together in a venue and let's have these discussions. The most important partner police has, really, there are citizens. That's every citizen in this community is a key partner for the police department. And as citizens, and I'm talking as a citizen right now, not as a chief of police, as a citizen, there are things that are in my control to keep my property and belongings safe. If some of you sign on to our community town hall event, I'll show some footage. Again, this is not about blaming our victims. It's just about what the citizens can do to better protect their properties. Because a lot of crime that's happening in this community is opportunity crime. They're all opportunity crime, many of them. People are just looking for trouble, and if our citizens make it easy for crime to be committed, i.e., biggest pet peeve I have is keys in the vehicle. Majority of the cars in this community are stolen, and it's not here. When I was in the RCMP, same thing in the RCMP jurisdictions, have keys in them. People leave their keys in them, they leave them running, and they get stolen because somebody's walking by, easy pick. They don't want to pay for Uber or taxi. It's just an easy free ride. They take a car from somewhere, dump it somewhere else. But it's still somebody is being victimized, and we need to. And I think that the quick fix to that is just simply taking the keys out of your vehicle. The vehicles these days are all very techie, with the keys, computer chips in the keys. There are not many criminals who can actually start these vehicles without the keys, proper keys. Probably the number of criminals who can pull that off in this country, we can probably count them on one hand. And I can guarantee they are not in Lethbridge stealing F-150s. They are into different exotic vehicles in different communities. So by taking the keys out, that's going to reduce probably our vehicles have more than half of them are stolen with keys in it. So let's be responsible on that, and the citizens need to do their part, locking their doors, making sure their sheds have a lock on them. Now, some criminals are still going to come and steal from them. I get that. They break the locks. They do all that stuff. But if we make it as a community, if we make our community a harder target for criminals to have their way, I truly believe they're going to stop doing the crime and maybe going to some of the communities that's easier for them to commit the crime. So, lack of better words, I want our citizens to partner with us to make doing crime in this community work. So if a criminal wants to commit crime, they got to work for it. And in doing so, I truly believe that we can reduce crime. Crime will still happen, don't get me wrong, but we can significantly reduce it by making sure we are a harder target. Really, that's all I have to say. Just want to say that citizens have a key role in reducing crime in the community. And as the crime is reduced, it's not. See, here's the deal: when we are tagged as a place where crime is rampant, and we are on I think we got one of the podium stands right now in the country, that attracts criminal element. Period. because they see a lot of opportunities to commit crime. So when we make that harder and take ourselves off that podium and actually show through trends, through actions, to our citizens' engagement and what the police is doing, that this is not a community that makes it easy for crime to happen, it's going to actually focus the criminals' attention in other communities where it's easier, and as a result, naturally, crime is going to go down. So let's go to the next slide, please. So in light of kind of setting a restart or to this department from even what we are going to do is we are going to go down to even redefining our mission, vision, values. And in that regards, there's a process I want to go through from our department perspective. Number one is I want to make sure the public has a say as to what they want the police department to be. What do they want from mission, vision, values in their police service? It's critical. Once we have that information, we can compile what the public can provide us, and from there have our internal folks get a committee going with representation from every unit, civilian, police, and get our employees to actually develop those. These are not the things that I'm not a big fan of me developing these and shoving down people's throat to adhere to. This has to come from the employees as to what they want the organization to be, how they want to serve the public, why do we exist, and how we can actually serve the community better. And from there, obviously, executive has a role to play to make sure we approve and make sure it's adequate. But I want first make sure we give the public an opportunity to participate in that, take their comments, and then have our employees revisit. Maybe we won't change anything, but maybe there'll be some changes to that. So it's all about resetting the button and moving forward even from that level to bring new mission, vision, values if needed to kind of move forward from organization perspective. So in the town hall, I'll be inviting the public. We'll be providing opportunities for our citizens who want to contribute to send those remarks or opinions or comments to us, which we're going to be factoring that into our process, and having this way we're going to get through community engagement and also internal engagement from every category of employee and rank to make sure we come with something solid for this organization to move forward. And I'm really looking forward to that. Next slide, please. I think we're done with the presentation. There you go, question and answers. So I'm ready for punishment right now. Go ahead, anything.
Well, I don't mean to laugh. That wasn't very appropriate. But I appreciate your honesty and your willingness to answer some questions. There was just a couple things that I wanted to point out quickly. I was pleased to hear about the PACT, Police and Crisis Team, that initiative. That sounds very encouraging. And with the strategies moving forward, I appreciate that you included the community well-being and safety strategy. I think that's excellent. And the way you're looking at youth engagement, because as you said, 911 calls are not stopping and they're not ending. And with that, youth they need us during the summer as well. So that's an exciting idea, because they are our leaders of the future. There was a lot of words that really were ringing true to me for things that we're doing with the Chamber of Commerce. So with that, before I jump in the questions, or maybe I'll save it for the end, because one thing I really appreciated when the chair, Rob Van Spronsen, spoke was the importance of partnership and opening up with that. And so maybe I'll leave the question at the end for you to think about how the Chamber can help with that partnership to move some of these initiatives forward. Some of the questions that I had, let's see, and the news reports show, and we knew this, you kind of spoke about it, that the Justice Minister Madhu was not satisfied by the LPS action plan. What are your thoughts on this and anything about the revised plan that you'll be submitting on June 25th?
Sure. Thank you for that question. I knew it's going to come. So yes, we did receive a letter from Minister's office that he was not satisfied with the action plan. Just to go back, when this action plan was thought of, we had to, first of all, we had to look at addressing Minister's initial letter that was sent to us as to what he wanted us to present in this action plan. And these pillars that I talked to you about hit on some of the concerns that he had at a very high level. Because we were mindful that this is going to the minister, and I don't believe he has time to sit down and read a 500-page document. So we wanted to make sure we provide him with a high-level approach as to what we are doing and some of the things that we have put into place to assure him we are on the right track. This document was actually sent to his office, was reviewed by some people in his office, and they had given us this looks okay. So we presented that. And then we get the letter, which really the letter, if you read the letter, the minister is really asking us to provide more information in some specific areas, i.e. he wants us to present him with our recruiting strategy, what we do in Lethbridge Police. So we are fully engaged on that front right now, trying to give him any piece of information that he needs in addition to what we've presented, which is really just diving down into the information we've given him. He wants more information on that. One comment he has made, he wants a change management strategy as to what we do. Really, when you look at what we've put into place, what do you define as change management? It's about the changes we're bringing to our operations and how we do things, how we engage our officers and everyone to move forward. Crime reduction strategy. That's a change management strategy. So the change management is really compilation of all the stuff that we are doing that are actually bringing a little bit of a change and tweaks into how we operate, because we need this police department to be working as a police department for the year 2021. We need to bring in changes. We need to modernize the police department from every level. So really, that's all it is. So when you look at minister's letter, in as much as it's harshly worded, but really what he's looking at is more information on the stuff we've already identified. And we are fully engaged on that process to provide the minister with everything he needs to satisfy him that we are on the right track and we are moving forward with this.
Thank you for that. And I do want to note that I did get a message from MLA Nathan Newdorf. He had to sign off a bit early, and he just wanted me to share with you that he's very supportive of all of the work and the initiatives that you are taking. So he wanted me to share that with you this morning.
And that means a lot to our folks here. As I said, we've been punching bag, lack of better words, as of late. And but I'm still very proud of every man of our men and women in this department who continue to get out there and serve this community despite the negative publicity and really some personal attacks, some individuals. Which I got to say this because if it wouldn't be me if I didn't. I'm an honest guy, so if people want honesty, that's what they're going to get from me. When people are attacked on social media, especially, this is not just individuals that their names have been under attack during times where the investigations are not even complete. They're on the go right now. So and I've asked the public from beginning, let's wait to get the facts before us. And that's all I'm asking. When it comes to accountability, I will hold people accountable when the facts are presented and if they're established that there was misconduct. Absolutely. That's my job. That's what the public expects of the police department. And I would never shy away from that. But I've just asked the public to be patient, not come to judgments based on facts you may necessarily read, which really don't have all the facts. Evidence is so. Let's just be patient on that process. But one thing I want to say is I'm quite proud of our employees because these attacks are not just on the person, it's on their families as well. So we have many employees here who are subject to very intimidating and harassing behavior, not only them, but their wives, their husbands, their kids, their other family members, parents, which is really not good, because when we look at our, how can I put it in a nice way? When you look at our employees in this building, they're also citizens of this community. So is that how we want to treat our citizens? And our employees are also citizens. They have friends, they have loved ones, they have family. And so all those citizens are being impacted by this negative publicity, which again, if the facts come through, let's have it. I will hold them accountable, and we can just get on with everything. But we just have to just continue to ask the public, let's just wait before, and once we have the facts, I'll be the first one to share the results with everyone. And then we're going to go on the right path. Either do nothing if they're not established, or hold people accountable with a balanced approach. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. In a different direction, I have a question. Do you have any plans to review the practices and objectives of photo radar and ensure that these objectives are being met?
Well, we can do that if it's a concern to the community, because I know photo radar. I have to admit, one of my family members just got one recently in a play area. You know, they were a few kilometers over, but hey, they deserve it. So at the end of the day, I believe the photo radars that are the operation is in areas where we have complaints, where we need to actually increase our enforcement, and again, holding the people accountable. And but again, if we need to review them, certainly we haven't received any complaints about it or significant complaints to force us to review that. But if there is a need for it, I'm certainly open to that.
Another question, and I appreciate everybody that's still online. We realize at some meetings you might need to log off, so don't feel bad about that. Stay as long as you can. Another question is partnering, like, we appreciate that your action plan and your goals are focusing on the City of Lethbridge. What are the strategies of working together in the future with the Blood Tribe Police?
We have significant interaction with Blood Tribe Police. In fact, since I've come here, I have monthly meetings that I've organized with Chief Melting Tallow that we meet regularly. But actually, I've also initiated a Southern Alberta Chiefs meeting, which we do every quarter, every 3 months, which really is all the chiefs within a southern part of the province to meet, get together, talk about trends, talk about opportunities, how we can work better together, and basically share intel, resources, trends, and combat what we need to do. So I've started those meetings. They're well received by other chiefs, and this includes chiefs from RCMP, district officer to Calgary, and anything on the south side of the province. This is in addition to our Alberta Association of Chiefs of Police that we meet regularly to discuss a lot of the issues that are going on in the province, to provide support to each other. So there's a significant deal going on here. But in relation to your specific question about Blood Tribe, we have very close relationship with them. In fact, we are training 4 of their new police officers right now, who are actually being trained with 4 of our new police officers. So these interactions are really helping relationship between the 2 police departments, because we know we serve a lot of the citizens in this community come maybe from Blood Tribe, vice versa, and we are there to support each other. So the relationship is great. We are communicating, and I'm looking forward to even making that even stronger in the future.
Perfect. That's great to hear. Thank you very much for answering that. And it's interesting to hear that how you meet quarterly within the region as well for Southern Alberta. That's I didn't know that. So I think a lot of our guests this morning maybe value hearing that as well. Now I know, like I said, I appreciate everybody's extended time today, and I really thank you for taking the time to speak with us. And it's great to see Donna in the room as well, even though we're spread apart on different screens. Nice to see you, Donna. So thank you again. So I guess my last question would be, at this point, is how can the Chamber help with your strategy and with the partnership?
The biggest thing, I think that from Chamber's perspective, I think if you see opportunities where you can connect the dots and introductions and making sure that we are actually, because to me it's all about partnerships and about knowing who's in the community and really how you can connect the dots. I think that's the biggest piece, that when we connect different organizations and agencies and people together, then we can have a more common front moving forward, knowing what everybody does, understanding what everyone does, their mandate, and the assets that they can provide in serving this community. So I think that from Chamber's perspective, I think that's one role I'm asking is connect us, and also don't be shy to make sure that if you need us for anything or anything, we can serve in whatever capacity. Use and abuse myself as much as you want. I can't speak for everyone else, but we are fully willing. As a chief of police, I'm a citizen in this community, and I want to make sure I'm doing my part in that role as well to contribute to this community and make sure we continue to build this community, because it's all about building this city, right?
Well, and I appreciate you taking. Oh yes, go ahead, please, Donna.
Sorry, can I just mention one more thing? I think one of the ways that the Chamber could also help is the communication piece with the LPS and the Chamber. You have a big membership there. You represent all sorts of different businesses in this whole city. And one of the issues, it's always been, we need to have a good communication tool so that the citizens, just another communication tool so the citizens can get the proper information. Sorry, Chief, I just...
No, and that's an important piece. Thank you for saying that, because we always say, how do we communicate and how can we improve our communication skills so that everybody has the knowledge, and so it makes us easier to connect those dots. And I feel today helped us connect some of those dots that we may be missing it, because there's always new ideas and new partnerships and area for growth. And so I thank you all for your time today and helping us connect some of these dots. I see Mayor Spearman's off his mute. Did you want to say something, Mayor?
I just would like to thank the chief for his presentation today. I thought it was an excellent presentation, provided a lot of information to the community. And I too support the chief in his efforts, as does council. I think many of the things that we needed to have happen, our new chief is delivering. And I'd like to thank the chief. This is not an easy job or an easy time for a police chief. The City of Lethbridge has been under the provincial focus for some time, and certainly I and council will do everything we can to support the chief as we move forward with very positive changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really appreciate your support and council support moving forward. Just wanted to check one thing, to actually provide something to both the mayor, actually the commission and everything. We just recently, like I'm just looking at the audit that was done, review of our policing by the province in 2020. And just to assure you, we are not all that bad. So this audit was done in the late 2019, and we got a report which was really had to do with the policing standards, provincial policing standards, and the audit, because we need to be compliant with all those. So some of the comments I want to read to you, Mr. Mayor, and everyone here is this talks about the team that was here found Lethbridge Police Service continues to perform well with respect to provincial policing standards, and they maintain a close and very positive relationship with the community they serve. That was something that actually was highlighted in a provincial audit which was done by a minister's office very recently. And some of the other highlights I want to talk about is in this report, Lethbridge Police Service was the first police agency to complete a Cycle 4 audit. LPS was selected as the first agency to participate because of their good performance in the other audits. And in fact, a lot of the policies that we have been highlighted as best practices for others to follow, which is really good. And there is a conclusion at the end in this report that says that the LPS performance throughout the audit was very good. The team found the Lethbridge Police Service and its staff engaged with their community and their agencies and other agencies to provide a safe, secure community in which everyone can live, work, and raise their families. So again, it's great to highlight this, because even though in the last 2 months we've been under a lot of attack and negative publicity, but here we have the report that says very different, which is very recent too. It's not all that bad. We continue to move forward with our efforts. And again, as the facts come out, I'll be the first one to be sharing that with everyone. And if there is any accountability that need to be held, we are open to that. And at least what I really want to do, Mr. Mayor and everyone, is try to put the past behind. You know, like we seem to be living in 2017, 2018. And unfortunately, I got to be honest with you, as a chief of police, I can't live in 2018. I have to live today because 911 calls coming in. Citizens want us to perform and keep this city safe. So I have to focus my effort and energies on today and tomorrow, but I still reflect very respectful to know that we need to deal with some of the past behavior and misconduct. But I gotta be honest, majority of my time is spent on today, what I can do for our citizens today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it's always wonderful to have Mayor Spearman attend our events and give some of his feedback. So thank you very much. Great to see you as always. And thank you again. I appreciate your honesty. And, you know, I love how many times you use the word respect and respectfully. And that's what we need to do moving forward. And we look forward to working with you however we can moving forward in the future with your strategic plan and your initiatives. So thank you everyone for joining us. I have a feeling we might be doing this again in the future. Any last words from anybody? All right, well then we'll enjoy the rest of our day and enjoy some of this unseasonal hot weather. Take care everybody and thank you.
Thank you.